Good morning. It is so good to have you join us today at Dunamis. Now, ordinarily, I'd have my friend Ed share with us, but this is what his voice sounds like right now.
Really decided to take out the trash. I'm glad I lost my sense of smell. You'll want to stay clear of the basement storage room.
Yeah, that's really how I sound. That's really how I sound.
We have Ed here, and he'll be interacting, but just not as much as normal.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But let me tell you, others in our staff are gone and out. There's a couple of them because of head colds.
Yeah.
Others of us are well and strong, and then there's Ed. Okay, so
I'm still here.
hip hip hooray!
Yeah, hooray!
Yeah, so it's nice to have you here, Ed.
Yes,
So,
it's good to be here.
it just had to be the day when the honey lemon drink is not quite as strong.
Yeah, Erica.
Fail.
Yes, hello, Erica.
Where is Hannah? She normally helps us out. So
She's in tomorrow.
Oh, she's
We
in tomorrow.
traded this week.
So the lovely Erica, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
How far along are we now?
28 weeks and 6 days.
28 weeks and 6 days.
That's very exact.
And
Third
how are you
trimester.
feeling? You look very,
Good.
I said you look very glory, happy
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Looks like you've broken a new level or something.
Yes, it's because I'm so happy to get out of bed because I'm sore from being in bed now. So here we are.
Okay, that's positive. And of course, a big shout out to Jake, our youth pastor, and his beautiful wife
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yes.
They had a beautiful little girl.
Yes.
Yes.
Shiloh Rain.
Yes.
Ooh,
Peace
yeah.
rain on us.
Oh,
Amen.
wow.
So yeah,
Great
Shiloh
name.
Rain.
Great name.
O'Brien. And great things. I was talking to Pastor Danny, who is the grandfather. Beautiful
Yeah,
Pops. And he said he and Melissa went over there that first night they were home at 10 o'clock to just look
my
after
goodness.
the little girl.
10 o'clock.
And he says, I just grabbed her, got the bottle and turned it around and pushed it in. He said, doesn't matter, they'll work it out. And just put it there. Burped her, squirted her, everything was good. Danny is really good with babies.
Yeah, he actually has a lot of experience and wisdom. He was telling me, and I was like, they're having a great head start with your
Yeah.
input. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great. But
Yeah.
it's good seeing that there's some more grandparents on staff now.
Yes.
There's a moment where the only grandparents was myself and Sandra
Yeah.
and my mother, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now I have Danny and Melissa, so that's a good move. So, which is good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
So praise the Lord. So a big shout out to Chelsea and a big shout out to Jake. And
Yeah.
of course, the next baby we have in line is
Me.
you, Erica.
Erica.
So we'll be doing a big shout out as well to you come a couple of months. So, which is exciting. Are you excited?
And excitement isn't the word that I use, but I am glad and joyful and trying to embrace the final of it just being three of us for now. So,
Then the next one is Cooper and Ashley.
yes.
Okay, who's also Pastor Danny's other son. He's going to have two babies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is good.
He's going to be
And-
outnumbered.
Busy Christmas.
Yeah. And the next one after that would be
Lexi.
Yeah,
Lexi and Eric, which is exciting.
Yes.
And
what-
then,
there's this
Jacinta,
January,
right?
and then Jacinta and
Yep.
Josiah in February.
Yeah.
So
Oh, my goodness.
there's who knows what else is happening around.
Dang,
So,
so many kids.
Yeah.
I tell you, this church between doing weddings and
Baby dedication.
baby dedications and babies and weddings. I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah.
there's just so much of it.
So much
you know?
happening,
So
yeah.
when
Oh,
it
my
comes
goodness.
to the romance and babies. So so it's all happening here. So
Yeah, those stalks are working overtime,
did you say something?
The stalk. Oh,
Okay.
whatever. No joke.
That's one way to multiply the church. That's for sure.
That is true. That's one way to get the numbers up.
Yes, it is. So it comes in. So looking at some news headlines this week, I found it interesting. There's an article on called Fact Check, and as you know, there's been a big thing about temperatures around the world being the highest they've ever been in 120,000 years. So I was reading an article on fact checks from America, and it says, no doubt July was hot in America and everything else, but the problem is that there's no record of temperature control going back. Some will try to, we take these earth digging things and get the soil. There's no record dating. In fact, the only accurate dating has been the last 40 years with satellites. And then all the claims beyond that area is not. Do you know that going back in the older days, how they did the temperature for water was they threw a bucket over the boat and they took the water They measure the temperature of the water in the bucket to try and work out the temperatures. I mean, that's how it was. But for the last 40 years, we've got satellite imaging, and that's what works in the air temperature. So this idea of 120,000 years and all this stuff. I mean, seriously, it's just. When people want to promote a story or promote something, it's amazing what they'll say or do. So, yeah, but it's just, I just wonder if people are going to listen to some facts rather than going on. So
the thing about just throwing a bucket in is in the really deep parts of the water, there's some extreme temperature differences from the surface to the bottom as well in the ocean. So.
Well, the idea is that every year or season, they do it in the same spot or place at the same depth, trying to figure it out in the currents. So it's not just try your luck here and then somewhere else.
Fair enough.
One time Atlantic, never time the Pacific, but it was meant to be the same, season or month, whatever else to get the temperatures. But that's how it was done. So so it just came across as just the way we like to do it. There's so much hype gets around and fear comes in, and we just see it all the time. So,
but the actual title of the headline is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's called "Fact Check Froze Cold Water on Global Boiling Claims." So anyhow, it's what happened. So these things always. I mean, I remember years ago that it was Al Gore saying that the North Pole will be melted by so many years. We passed that.
California will flood.
California flooding. I remember it says polar bears will be extinct. But they're breeding well. And they don't use the polar bears anymore.
Yeah,
because that's worked against them. Just like evolution doesn't use the pit down man, Neanderthal man, Java man, and Peking man. That's all stopped from my day. So it's just amazing in the name of science what they do and then what they stop doing because it just is not holding up. So
it doesn't suit their agenda.
Yeah, it doesn't suit their agenda, but I see it all the time. Well, it was only, 10, 15 years ago that one of those people in Australia said that Manly and the foreshores are all going to be underwater by this time, and it hasn't happened. The Pacific Islands would be gone.
Yeah. It's all still there.
Yeah, so I mean, I have no doubt temperature's gone up a degree or whatever else, but it's going to take 1,000 years to have an effect in that area. And if we do chase up, we've had ice ages, we've had the hot time, we have all sorts of things. But to make the claims hottest ever in 120,000 years, I don't know what's worse, that they write it or people believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, people are so gullible today, and there'll be people. I mean, I find Christians in generally gullible to certain things. You know what I mean? So, which I find, just challenging. Yes. Just in biblical interpretations and different things. So, we can twist anything, to our agenda, and that's why I think we've got to keep level-headed and check and make sure that we keep everything in balance.
Don't jump to conclusions too quickly. Like, just be chill. Don't just be like, read the headline.
Well, especially, Christians are the most, they tell us when it comes to financial cons, Christians and churches are the number one places that are hit. Wow. And that is because they are the most trusting.
Yes.
And the most forgiving. And so they're the biggest hit areas. But the Bible says we got to be wise as serpents, yet gentle as doves. Yeah. And we need that balance.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think those are. So if you were to think of any major gullible area in your Christian life, not meaning you personally experienced, Erica, but what's happened in your lifetime when you thought, wow, that would have to be the most gullible thing that you've ever seen Christians fall for. What would that be for you?
I don't know if this applies, but Y2K was the thing when I was a kid.
Y2K, that year of
everyone
2000.
was so afraid.
So you're in Oklahoma then?
Yes.
So what was the atmosphere like? What did you do? Were you caught up in it?
No, my mom very much is opposed to anything extreme like that. So she was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. But it definitely, fear and anxiety was so high leading up to the 2000 mark for sure.
So Ed, in your limited ability to speak, if there's anything where you find Christians are so gullible in the time, what would it be?
That first couple of weeks of COVID, when we first hit the lockdown, I think the panic did affect me a little bit, especially when there was news about stores running out of stocks. That didn't happen, but at the time, we
ran out of toilet
paper.
Mom already stocked up on TP before the lockdowns.
It reminded me of my childhood because we never used toilet paper. We used newspaper.
Oh, Oh, yeah, whatever you can get.
We had the outside, we used to call it the outside dunny, or the thunderbox, so excuse me, and there is. And it would be the toilet paper would be cut up and nailed onto the noggin, and you tear it. But yeah, it's very rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how it was. We're just going back to where we came from. It's nothing new for me, except we don't have literal newspapers now.
Yeah.
Or
Even bidets. Have you got a bidet these days?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, but it comes in there. So for me, it's kind of links in, but more broader, is for me the biggest weird stuff that I see Christians fall for is anything to do with end times.
Yeah, end times,
which links into the Y2K, which links into COVID. I mean, how many people got paranoid in COVID saying it's the end of the world and the things there. The Y2K, I threw a big party on that night. At the church. Awesome. It's the only time I've ever done it on New Year's, because I go to bed. But on this one, I said, we're doing it. So in the basement, the car park down below. Wow. So we did the big party down there. Other churches all having these prayer meetings, getting ready for the end. And I lost some families because, they said I wasn't taking it serious enough. Of course, it never happened. They never came back. And, COVID, I lost families.
Yes, that's true.
I lost families because I did take the first 2 vaccinations, and that I didn't think it was the end of the world. I lost some families, and when I've tried to talk to them, saying, "Well, how do you, come to grips? None of this happened." They said it was a pre-runner. Oh, so it's almost like the devil says, "Let's have a practice run."
Oh yeah.
Let's practice run the Antichrist. Let's practice run the mark of the beast. Let's practice. I mean, seriously, a pre-runner. I mean, that's the best we can get, a pre-runner. But it's so true though. In those areas, and because Christians are very believing, and we get caught up in areas, and I just think that we've got to find a balance. And a balance is really you brought an article up to me about a doctor. And was that in America? Is it UK? Is it?
Yeah. No. So a New York City cancer doctor, Eric, you can go 4 if you want. Crystal Caster, 40, shoots herself and her baby dead at home in $1 million house with a horrific murder-suicide.
Oh no!
So this woman, she was a cancer research doctor.
Wow.
And if I was to put my conspiracy theory hat on, this is another example of a cancer research doctor just so happens to disappear. So, I mean, it's tragic no matter what. It's awful, the murder-suicide. But if I was to put my conspiracy hat on, this is the same thing has happened once again. Where
are they saying there's a conspiracy?
Oh, as soon as this article dropped, people were dropping the whole, CIA's taken out people who have...
because she's found out something in cancer?
Maybe she found something in her research and they were just, Anyway, it's tragic. It's tragic either way. It's
I don't
horrible.
see anything in the article that says it was a conspiracy.
It says consistent with a murder-suicide. So there's room for, doubt there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it is pretty crazy that, she'd be taking out the kid and herself.
It's one thing you're going to take your life, which is a terrible tragedy, but to take out another loved one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a thing. I mean, just here in this last week, I'm tired of hearing on the news it's too much, but on Russell Island, and about how on that island, the only survivor is the mother, the wife, and she got out of the house, and the husband, who's only young, went back in, 5 children all in one room, and they all perished.
Oh no!
And there's a question mark as to whether it was deliberate. So there's some, unusual things happening.
I was just gonna say I'm not much for conspiracies, and postpartum depression is real, so that could have played into that situation for the cancer doctor for sure. You never know.
I don't know. We don't know the story. Whatever it is tragedy.
It's horrible.
And suicide is something that's very serious. And, if you do have struggles in those areas, you should get help.
Yes.
Because that's what's
seek
important.
professionals. Absolutely.
Yes. The other news story I read was, that made big news, is that the biggest bank we have in Australia has announced a record profit is $10.2 billion. That's 10 million, 10 billion, 2 million
That's so
profit.
crazy.
Okay.
Up 5% from last financial year.
Wow.
So that's their financial year for the year. So 10.2 billion.
It's like unbelievable.
It's wild.
I just can't even, my brain can't grasp.
Well, I mean, last year it's up 5% from last year. So last year was what, 9.5 billion.
That's so
okay. So, and then last year, the head of the Commonwealth Bank got a $10 million plus bonus. So imagine what he'll get this time.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it comes across into the area. So that is huge margin. So the question that's come out of it is it ethical for said companies to be able to make this much profit? So the argument is, what about those who are struggling, those are tough times? And of course, these guys have this contingency. Well, it's for the interest of shareholders. Come on. I mean, like, I saw this gentleman being on an interview where they said, can you make a guarantee that when the interest rates drop, that you'll be just as quick to pass on the dropped interest rates as you are to put them on, which they kind of couldn't answer 100%, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and what about fixed term rates? You know, are you going to help people out with that? So,
Did the screen freeze?
No.
My view is different.
No,
it's right.
that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry, everyone.
this is the article.
Yeah, it's just the article. I've just
Okay.
stopped scrolling.
Okay.
So the issue is well, let's ask the question: is it ethical,
Yeah.
okay, for a company
Yeah.
to make huge profits in the midst of hardship?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So would most of their like income or whatever, the profits, would it be like fees, interest?
It's interest.
That's where the income comes from?
Yeah, that's where banks make money from.
Yeah,
It's
because-
interest, right?
That's insane.
Because
Yeah.
if the current interest rate is what by the Reserve Bank, right, 3-4%,
Yeah.
and the banks are charging 7+%, they're making that's that buffer.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So the Reserve Bank so that's how they make their money.
Wow.
Yeah.
They put it up on top. It's the cream on top. And, I think they said they've loaned out $900 billion. Does that make sense? They've lent out.
Wow.
So what I'm asking is
Is ethical.
it ethical? Is this the norm? Like, what happens in the hardship times?
Nah, man. I don't think it's not. I think these companies just show their true colors. They just care about profit.
But
That's money.
is it ethical? Is it legal? Is it right? Should it be changed?
Legal? Yes. Ethical? No.
Okay. So in what way of ethical? Unethical?
Well, I think, if you truly, we've talked about this before. We look at how much people are hurting right now, how much homelessness has been going up, how many people are struggling to get in the homes. Any form of relief with the cost of living for a regular person, even with their like home loans. We've seen how much money food's been going up. If the Combank could just lower their rates, even for the next 6 months, to show like, hey, we've been making record profits, so now we're going to pass it on to the consumer of Combank. But they don't. They keep everything at the same.
So, Ed, what are we in Australia? Free capital? What is it? Capitalism?
We are a
Capitalism?
capitalist society,
We're open
democratic
business.
capitalism. Yeah.
And then, so therefore, like, there's allowed to be the profit.
Oh yeah, what they're doing is completely legal. Is it going to get them brownie points with the people? Probably not.
But what
then
difference does it make? You need the money.
But yeah, then again, we need banks. Banks
Yeah,
can
it's
do
a
what they
business.
want.
So to me, I see it differently.
Yep.
Okay, sure, this is huge profits.
Yeah.
If we look at history, you know what I'm like with history.
Yeah, history, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The wealthiest people that we have, like J.P. Morgan,
Yeah.
Carnegie,
Yep.
Rockefeller, Americans,
Yep.
they made their millions and billions during the Great Depression.
True.
Yeah, 1929, 1930. So they made the money. Okay,
huge,
and that
huge.
was Rockefeller was oil.
Yes.
Okay, he was originally dealing with kerosene, which is a byproduct of
yeah.
gasoline, and he's throwing all the gasoline out until Henry Ford made the combustion engine. Then he
Yes.
realized there's more money in gasoline.
Automobiles. Oh, yeah.
And he was the first one to cut out, because it always used to be in the railway, and they're charging exorbitant prices. So it was Rockefeller who did the first pipeline.
Oh wow, he did the
First pipeline. Yeah, and he did the first pipeline to pump oil straight through to make the money.
Yes.
Carnegie, we know, was involved in metal, and this was in the revolution of metal and factories, and J.P. Morgan was in banking and all that sort of stuff there. So these guys became multi, which still lasts through today.
Yeah,
so
huge.
in every great, now we're not in the Depression like it was in those days, but in every great area such as this, people do reach their millions. But we live in a capitalistic environment where why should said persons or businesses, because be punished when they're offering a service that is desired? I mean, I'm asking that. I mean, like, because once you bring on a law, we come then closer towards communism. So if you hear the Greens talk and sections of the Labor talk, the communists, right, where they want control. So it wouldn't stop just there. It'd come all the way down.
Right.
It'd stop you from free enterprise.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the ones that really tick me off is government.
Yes.
So Queensland made, what was it, $6 billion in the quarter profit?
Wow.
Where are they putting money back in? Or
Yeah.
what about the federal? Was it that? What about the federal government made what, $10 billion?
Wow. That's crazy.
You know, where are they putting it in?
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the government who are elected by the people than I am for free enterprise business. So, for example, why hasn't the government lowered taxes on fuel?
Yeah. True.
Now, remember, Morrison lowered it
Yeah.
only for a set time. It went back in. There was no lowering again,
Yep.
okay, by the Labor. Why are these expenses there, you know? Why don't we buy back our energy areas of that money so that the government control it and subsidize it, come in there? See, the government will make far more better positive effects on the people across the board than would an individual company such as the Commonwealth Bank. So I would have far more anger towards government than I would, which is elected by the people for the people, than I would. Sounded American then too much.
that's what
Okay.
it sounded like.
Yeah, and Australians getting caught up in American slang, but the fact of the matter is, than I am with free enterprise.
Yeah. Well, I'm with both. I'm on both boats.
I mean, if you don't want to bank, then don't bank.
it's true. It's true.
But I mean, how do you get a house? Well, but they're offering a service,
Yeah.
so you know. Right or wrong, that's what they do. They offer a service, and as all their transactions are open,
Yeah.
because in their market and everything else, so they're floated. So, you know, it's the government that worries me. I'd be far more worried about this government. Like they try to bring in mandatory environmental stuff, which is killing us.
Yeah.
Victoria's outlawing any new constructions to have natural gas.
Wow.
Or electricity. Electricity is way more expensive than natural gas. They talk about these carbon tax things we got to pay for, and I said these are just out of control. They're out of control. And then trying to bring in something to eliminate, like some sort of nuclear area, they totally outlaw banning as well. So there's just something wrong. It's the government to me that worries me. It just worries me intensely. But you know, it just seems like they just get away with it. There's anything wrong in the area, they get away with it.
I don't know if you know, but my dad was a natural gas plant operator.
No, I
that was
didn't know
his
that.
profession.
Yeah.
Like his whole adult career, from my understanding.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
It was it was really interesting to go to the plant because we were able to visit him there. But they had very strict, obviously, health and safety guidelines, like hard hats and all the things. And it was always so noisy. But
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, and I've seen them. I've driven through Oklahoma and through Texas, and I've seen the oil areas and I've seen the gas, and you know, it certainly stands out because you know Oklahoma's so flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if your dog ran away, the next day you'd still see it running off there. I mean, it's so flat. Oh, there's Robert, it's still going there. It's, you know, 24 hours later, that's how flat it is.
Dang.
And but the fact of the matter is that you can be out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma,
Yep.
seriously, for miles driving, and all of a sudden you see these bright lights at night. These bright lights. You go like, oh, is this an alien?
This
What?
is an alien?
But it's the gas, or they're just
the
pumping
plants.
and doing the plants.
And because there's a little fire on top when they burn off the gas. So
Oh,
there's like
yeah, I've seen
sometimes
that.
it's bigger or smaller depending on.
Yeah, depending on what they're doing.
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you see the oil pumps, it look like dinosaurs
Yes.
butting down
Yeah,
huge.
that's so weird
the
looking.
pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
the classic windmill photos with the sunset.
Yeah. Oklahoma. But yeah, so it's quite interesting in the whole area. I also read an article too on Sky News, and I know you said people wouldn't be interested in it, but again, it's about China and its IT, and that somehow there was a something was it incapacitated?
Well, possibly because we're buying.
There's a
China.
switch.
There's a switch they could turn on that disables.
In the solar panels.
Yeah, solar panels.
I
That,
don't know if it's disabled or it's supposed to give information. Somehow it's supposed to, you know, it's about an internet connection
Yeah, you
on
can pass
solar
the tape,
houses.
so maybe that just means
so
disabled.
somehow it can feed information, or I don't know if it can eavesdrop or what, because there's all the stuff. So there's some sort of thing, because this was the whole problem with the
Huawei back in the day.
Huawei in these areas, and
and the security cameras, right?
Yeah, there's so much of it, and then
security
somehow
cameras, the cell towers.
I mean, when will Australia learn? Stop buying sensitive stuff from
Use
China.
Australian
Just
stuff.
stop it.
Can we use made in Australia for our like personal communications?
Why can't our government spend money in supporting Australian things?
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
Look at making these armored vehicles now that we're sending out, and doing all these other things here. We're making it. We have the ability to make things, but the cost of electricity is so expensive that factories say, we can't afford to be here. We'll go to another country where the electricity is more affordable.
Yep.
And this is the problem, is that it's not just us, the average people, who are being punished by our government. And I blame the government because the government has the power to buy the infrastructure to control it, because that's how it was. Let's stop blaming Origin or others. I blame the government.
Yeah, but that's socialism, Shaun.
Not with the infrastructure areas. Socialism would be to say to Origin, I dictate everything else, because our government was based upon having these basic areas that we knew belonged to government to control it, which was medical, education, it was water, it was sewage, it's electricity, it's transportation. So we knew that these were basic governments. It was healthcare. The original Medibank Private was government. They sold it off. Our telecommunications were government. They sold it off. Our electricity was government. They sold it off. Always saying that because it'd be more competition, it'd be cheaper. And every area it's gotten more expensive, and it's a total lie. It was Peter Beattie, who was the Premier of Queensland, who sold off our energy saying competition. I mean, but it's not true. Okay? And we see it happen. It was John Howard sold off, I think, Medibank Private or selling off Telstra. And it's not true. It has not helped us. And they've got to take back the basics for the people. And that's what has to happen. If they can take care of that. The Commonwealth Bank belonged to the government. It wasn't a free enterprise. It came in after World War II to help diggers get a home by government secured 1%, 2% loans. So they get a house. And then it just was sold off. And this is always the problem, is that the idea is great how it does it, but it gets perverted and taken away from the people. And the people need leadership. We need a revolution in our governments. And the problem is we need guarantees of governments that if a new one comes in, these things will be done. I'd love to do it that we hold our premiers or we hold our prime minister saying, if you don't deliver on this promise in the first, 12 months, you're out.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Albanese promised, and he's still running around now saying, I've given the cheapest power bills. He's still saying that today. Where? Tell me where.
I did get notification that there was relief coming for my next bill that would just be applied naturally.
The next one.
But I don't know.
It's not natural. I think it's like a $230 or $500 one-off thing.
One-off.
It's one-off.
The prices are still increasing though.
So 1 month out of 12 in a year, you get a relief.
Fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you average that out.
It's not comparable to what
if you average out, if it was $500 over 12 months, okay, you're talking under $50.
Yeah.
And you're paying $1,000. It's not making any difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, how much you pay for your car license now? For a renewal of your licenses of 5 years is like $70-$80? I mean, there's just too many ridiculous things. And yet our politicians are still getting pay increases. And they said, we set up this free-reign arbitration, the group does it. Come on. I mean, where is the seriousness of the situation? And I don't see it happening. And like I said, as much as we want to attack private enterprise, the focus has got to go back on government. And the reason why is we can't do much of private business. But we can with government. We can vote them out. We can vote of it and hold them accountable. How Albanese got away with all these promises and never held accountable, I do not know. And it doesn't mean that the LNP won't do the same thing. And and as boring as Peter Dutton looks, let's be honest, he's boring. Okay, and he's monotone. Okay, I believe that he is really trying to be steady and consistent in the area. You know, a boring leader could be the best leader for us. Are we after charisma or someone that gets the job done?
Fair.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm feeling. But, you know, you're entitled to have a different opinion, and that's what's healthy about our world is that difference of opinions. And I believe that difference of opinion is healthy and needed. But at the same time, we should hear everybody out. That's where it's all about. But, you know, I really, if you were to ask me anything that annoys me right now, it is the political arena. And I see in all that, the local government, where are they? I only see them when they're going to rise our interest rates.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Time to raise taxes.
Look at the homelessness here.
Yeah.
Why don't they equip us? I see Lab is saying, oh, we're going to have 30 new places. 30? We got thousands who need homes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how's it going to make any difference? They need to equip the area. And the local governments put more restrictions and more fees on now than ever. So the state government says, let's build more. And the local governments are charging us more.
Yeah.
The prices they charge now is like double, triple to what it was 10 years ago. They just keep charging.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong. There's not enough unity all the way through here. And then you got, I don't know, the Greens and the federal government wanting to put a freeze on rent for 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, if you're going to put a freeze on rent for 2 years, put a freeze on interest rates for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying every case, but, you know, you know, let it go up according to what interest rates go up. That's what I'm saying, because it comes across. So how do you go about having a place? But I don't know. There's so many crazy things. Hey, I was going to say on another note.
Yes.
I had a phone call from a young lady who's doing university studies. I don't know exactly what the study is, and they're trying to make contact with me in the church. They want to do an interview with me. They said a 30-minute interview and videoing it. And I don't know if you know me, but I'm not really into that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm like, can you see Josiah? You know what I mean?
True.
So I said, no, we want to see you. And I said, well, you know what? Young lady's 18, 19. And I said, well, what do you want to interview us about the church? I said, no, my assignment is I got to do an interview on 911. Well, 911 is the 11th of September. Okay, 2001.
Yeah, we got the photo if you want to.
Yeah, we'll put the photo. Yeah,
for some reason.
And this is the
World Trade Centers.
World Trade Centers.
Yeah.
That was the second plane going to the second building.
Yeah.
Just leave it up for a little while. And said, we want to do it. I said, how on earth did you get this assignment? I mean, like, could you, I think she's doing the studies in education, child education. Wow. How does child education get an assignment on something that was in America, not here? I mean, it had impact here, but it's in America. Yeah. Wow. And then I said, why me?
Yeah, why you?
So when I said to her, why me? And she said politely, well, you know, my dad said you're enough around it to know what's happened. You know what I mean? So I don't know. How many years ago is this? This is like
2001.
This is 22. Before she was born. Yeah, 22 years ago. Come September. Is 11 September will make it 22 years ago. So wow. So I'm doing that tomorrow. So I've just thought, well, I better prepare. You know what I mean? And so I just put things down because Erica being American, I said to Eric yesterday, because in the Bible school, I said, I'll send you this little thing I put together and see if it clicks with you. I mean, you were, 11 years old when this happened?
Yes.
And so just see what you want. Obviously, I was 51. Okay.
I was 7?
I was 41.
Oh, because I was born 94.
Yeah.
And this happened in 2001.
Yeah.
So I would have been
Almost
7.
going on 7.
So I was 40. I remember what. Can you remember what you were doing when it happened?
Yes. I'm going to switch off.
Yeah, take it off, yeah.
So, I told Pastor Shaun this morning, I went to a Christian private school, and I remember my friend's mom, who was also doing like teacher's aid, was taking the teachers' cars and going to get petrol because the threat was that the petrol prices were going to go up. But in my school, unlike the public schools, they didn't wheel in TVs and like show us what was happening. It was just like, there's something going on and we're not talking about it. Hush, hush. And then like in the car ride on the way home, my dad put on the radio. I didn't know what the World Trade Centers were. So I had no like frame of reference for like what was going on in visually, but like obviously it was a really big deal, and like it was scary, and a lot of people were impacted. So, but yeah, I was at school, and they were getting petrol before the prices went up.
I won't ask you, Ed. You're too young.
Yeah, I was too young. Yeah.
But we were just having a week of crusade meetings with Pastor Tom Moffat,
Oh wow!
Oh.
and it was a midweek. And
Here in Australia.
Yeah, he had our church, Dunamis, this building. Sorry.
yeah.
And I'd been out with Tom, and we'd eaten after the meeting. Sandra was home, and Josiah had to go to school. He was in the area there. And I'd come home, and, you come home, and I'm a bit wired up. So I switched on the TV, and it had to be CNN.
Yep.
And I saw the visual pictures of the plane crashing
Oh,
into
my
the
goodness.
building, the second one,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
particular picture.
Yeah.
Was the second one. And I went, oh my goodness. So I rang up Tom straight away.
Yep.
And I said, turn on the TV. And he was in shock and awe. And
Oh,
I
my
said,
goodness.
hey, I'll come over. And so it was
Yeah.
like 10:30 at night. So I drove over to the hotel where he was staying, and I stayed there for several hours because he was I think Marat was with him, and in that area. And what happened is Tom was supposed to fly out the
That's
next
what I was
day.
gonna say. That would have
Oh,
affected his
wow.
flight so much.
He had to stay in Australia an extra week.
Wow.
Because
an
there's no
extra
flight.
week.
Because the flight,
Wow.
everything was grounded.
Oh.
And our Prime Minister, John Howard, was in America at that time.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
And even though they wouldn't let him fly out. So he was there for several
Wow.
days. So they closed all the airspace. Because it wasn't just there. We had the situation, I think it was over Philadelphia, where there's another plane, and the passengers
Midwest.
overcame them and it crashed.
Yeah.
And there's also the plane that landed next in Washington, and it hit part of the what do we call that building?
Pentagon?
Yeah, the
The
Pentagon.
Pentagon,
Yeah.
we built there. So there was some tragic things. And so it was like
Yeah.
all out war. So I remember it. So it was both a strange and fearful time. And even though we're so far away,
Yeah.
I don't know, because our Australian Prime Minister there, because I had Tom Moffat with me, because I had connection to America, it was certainly a massive shift in perspective that happened.
Yeah.
And for a little while, whether it be there, here, because the second biggest population, if that died in that area, I think there's over 2,000 died, was English people there in the building, and some Australians died.
Wow.
But there was this sense that in that single moment, we looked at our nations and our society in a new way, because it was totally different. Have you got that photo I have there of a fireman over the rubble of the collapsed buildings? This is a picture reminder of what we were seeing, the collapsed towers. And there are still firefighters today dying from that, because of the dust, everything else in their
dust,
lungs.
yeah.
And then a whole unit of firefighters was eradicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
A whole lot of them gone.
Yeah.
And the heroism of these firefighters, it was astronomical. I went over to, I think it was a year or two after I was in New York.
Yeah.
And I went to visit. This is before the new building was built. This was before the museum was built. So everything was raw.
Yeah.
And I went to New York personally to have the experience of it, and I wept.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I went to this room where they had the breathing apparatuses of the firefighters who were killed and other stuff, and children's toys, the difference to that, and it just moved me. You know what I mean? And it created, I think, not just me, everybody, this conscious awareness of death, and it made us realize that our life is so filled with trivialness. You know what I mean? And a lot of people in this moment, leading straight after that, were turning towards faith or God. There's an old saying, there's no atheists in the foxhole.
Foxhole, yeah.
During the bombings of London, churches were bombed, but the churches were packed out. They had no roof because bombed. They were packed.
They were packed,
and all of a sudden, even here, churches were getting filled and full. In America, there was a talk of unity or a move of God because the churches were filled. And there's this particular picture of this church in New York. Can you put it up there for me? And I don't know, can you make it any bigger there? This was during the area. Now, this church, I went into this church.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And there's another picture of the smoke when it first collapsed. And this is here of the church right next to the buildings.
Wow.
And that's the buildings collapsed. There's this puff of smoke around this church. And this church was big. I remember this picture. Was like a light or a symbol. Can you go back to the original one? And this church here shows you how all of the people were just, the fire brigade and people were just getting refuge in this church. This church goes back to George Washington. George Washington, founding father of America, was here. So, I mean, it looks so small, but in its day, it was huge. And this is, remember, Washington, D.C. is not being built.
Yeah.
And the capital of this first beginning would be here in Washington. And then it would move to Philadelphia. Yeah. And then, of course, Washington, D.C. And so I went to visit this church because I got to see the church from this picture in the area. And so I went to the church, walked through the church and the whole area, just capturing it. And believe it or not, that it wasn't just me that felt the connection, but it was America in generally that felt that there was something happening spiritually. And, that felt the move. But then all of a sudden, what could have been of God got broken down. And this is what happened with COVID and everything else, because then there became this heated discussions about how do we get revenge or how do we deal with it? Yeah. So this image here, and I remember it like it was yesterday, which is the President of the United States, George W. Bush. Yeah. And he went out to, Ground Zero, they called it.
Yeah.
And it was unrehearsed, very moving. I still remember, and I don't have the picture there, but I should have brought it up, where he was told, and he was in a preschool, kindergarten, and he was just reading a book, talking, and a Secret Service came up, whispered in his ear, and you could see his face drop, and he held it together, finished it, and left the room, got Air Force One, and announced about the attack. So that Air Force One was kept in air for hours because couldn't land. Sent it to refuel, get going. And then what happened, they didn't have the communications in air to be able to communicate because the vice president was taken to a secret bunker because, Washington, the Pentagon had been attacked, and the ability to communicate. So they've upgraded it now in Air Force One, but they couldn't communicate effectively because in the air, it's just flying around the space with the fighter pilots to protect it. Nobody knows what's happening, because you had three planes hijacked, and so it was a real horrendous time, and they know if you cut off the head of the nation, it has all of these, all these things. So he ordered the crew, take me back to Washington. I said, it's unsafe. It doesn't matter. Take me back.
Yeah.
And so George Bush went to, when it was the right time because he let things settle down. He went because he knew he'd draw the attention. He went to the Ground Zero, and he climbed up on top of ruins. And I remember this picture. And this is a firefighter, as far as I know. And he grabs a bullhorn. That's a speaker. And he starts, speaking out that area. And if I can just get it correctly, in that time, his statements was, I swear to you that we as a nation will never yield, rest, or relent in our mission. And that is that we will find those people and we will punish those people. And so all of a sudden now there is a shift. So the shift went from, let's look at our life and how it's like a vapor, let's be hungry to God, to where all of a sudden we're having this argument about, well, where do we sign? The sign-ups for the military was massive.
Oh, through the roof.
Professional football players signed up. And one of the major ones, he died in the battle. People just signed up to serve, because it was like, we got to go after these people. And all of a sudden, the conversation shifted indirectly, not authorized, as a crusade.
And
it was a day. So this crusade talk, we're going out on a mission. We're going out there. The images of the Punisher, the shooting, and all these things here. And I tell you, it shifted so quickly from being a touch of God to maybe a move of God to where we talked about military invasion, torture. And of course, we know what happened is that there was incorrect information that came to the president saying there's weapons of mass destruction. Now, the first country they attack is Iraq. And on the threat of Iraq was never involved in it.
The Afghanis,
You know what I mean? It was from what do you call them? And
Saddam Hussein.
no, the guy is all the
What,
problem of it.
what the CIA gave him bad
who
intel.
gave it?
No, the guy who organized the Bin Laden. Bin
Oh,
Laden.
sorry, I said the wrong one. Yes, sorry.
It's came
Sorry.
across here, and we're going into Iraq, and of course Australian soldiers, we're right in there, as we
that
always
too.
are.
Yeah.
Okay, and it really caused a lot of problems. And
You
then
can take it
Christians
off-
are going like,
yeah.
"What should we do?" And all of a sudden, they passed a law that they could do torture, which is waterboarding and
Yeah.
things that were never done before being
War
done,
crimes.
and then taking them to secret black sites so they could torture them and do things. I mean, a lot of things happened, And so if I look at some of those areas that happened, I come back to the point as to how do I explain this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I basically have two answers to the situation and a reason why to have hope in you. The first thing I want to say is this, is that what we thought was hope wasn't hope at all.
Mm.
And this is what happens to us all the time. What we think is hope is not hope at all.
Yes.
Okay? Because we began to put our hope in government.
Yeah.
And people. And wounded people, hurting people hurt people. The President of America was hurting.
He was hurting, yeah.
And hurting people hurt people.
Yep.
They make decisions in hurt and pain. And we're meant to put our hope in God. And Christians are so gullible. The Bible says in Romans 5:5, hope does not disappoint, which means undo. The Bible says in Hebrews 6:19 that hope is an anchor for the soul, emotions. But we weren't putting our hope in God.
Yeah.
If we read Romans 5 verses 3-5, and it's talking about, we go through trials and tribulations and persecution, but we do not give in, we do not give up, we hold true, and that's what hope is. But the thing is, we put our hope in the wrong. But even today, we put our hope in governments. During COVID, we put our hope in Google and things and other doctrines. We don't put it in Christ, because in Christ there is a peace.
Yeah.
And what happened during 9/11, we began to look for hope, and the hope was in the words of leadership. We will go in and get them. They will pay the price. We will get blood for blood. Remember this about Jesus, right? Jesus did not spill the blood of his enemies.
Yeah.
But Jesus spilt his own blood for his enemies.
Yeah.
Right.
And we forget that. So whenever you find yourself in this situation of trauma, disappointment, or a catastrophe, you got to ask, where's your hope? During COVID, where was our hope?
Yeah.
I can tell you now, in the majority, the hope was not in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's true.
We were caught up in other stuff. The second thing I see in this area is that we have to answer our disappointed hope in regard to how we preserve the situation, our memory. So if our hope is filled with disappointment, then you got to ask, how do we deal with the memory of what's happened? So the word catch cry was never forget.
Yeah.
And every year when they come together, the whole thing is never forget, never forget. We will not forget. I don't know of a nation who is as good as America that has memorials.
Yeah.
Remember, I have been to the Alamo in Texas.
Yes.
Okay. And, the whole thing that we won't forget, the text that we won't forget. Okay. And kids can't run around.
Yeah.
No loud noises. You got to respect it. I mean, there's so much respect. Then I've also been on the Arizona and Pearl Harbor, where there's still 800, 900 who perished. That's the doom that were. And I've been in a memorial site. And again, no kids are allowed to run around, no screaming. You can't even talk loud. You got to whisper in the area because it's a memorial thing. I've never seen anything like that. And also, I've been to 911.
Yeah.
It was before the memorial was all built, okay, but in its very raw place. And the whole thing of respect and remembrance is so real. And I don't think anybody celebrates that. I can't, like I was watching the American ladies soccer team.
Oh, yeah.
They were, was it?
The FIFA soccer.
They're out.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
which is the worst they've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, the last two the Soccer World Cup women, they've won,
Oh. All right.
and they didn't even make it into the
Oh, no.
final 16.
Yeah.
They were out. Okay, and as you know, the captain of that team, who is the best soccer player, in America, if not in other areas, who is homosexual, comes across as anti-American in certain ways because refuses to bow refuses to stand for the national anthem, but bent the knee. Even here in Australia, bent the knee.
Oh,
half the team bent the knee. Now, for us as Australia, you remember some Australians are trying to copy the same thing and they're going like, "You're not in America, buddy. This is Australia."
We don't have the same problems.
Who really cares?
Yeah,
So, but in America,
it's huge.
I mean, if you dishonor the flag or the anthem,
that's it. It's
I
over.
mean, like, I know this. When I was in America, I go to America and I go to a sporting event. You take your hat off.
Yeah.
Over here, they'll leave their hat on, they'll lick an ice cream, they'll talk, they'll play off the phone. But in America, they'll turn around and almost slap you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's taken, really serious.
Yeah.
Okay. Unlike here. And the fact of the matter is, seeing this sporting person. So that's why now in America, besides President Trump and others, all the conservatives are saying America is being judged and the women's soccer team being judged, and they don't help the situation out as well.
Yeah.
And so forth and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is that America knows more about bringing honor towards their memories. So when they say never forget, that's a stronger notion than we ever have. Okay, so it was about vengeance, and Bush promised that the American people would not forget the wound that was inflicted upon their country. He promised that they wouldn't yield and they wouldn't relent on their mission about getting revenge. And too many American Christians, Christians, adopted this response. Now, sure, I understand the right to be angry because of the wrong. But rehearsing that anger year after year doesn't move us towards justice, love, or forgiveness.
Yeah.
Now, the Bible says in Hebrews 12:15, he says, "See to it that no one comes short of the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble, and by it many become defiled." And I saw in COVID, there were people who were angry at the government, angry at this. And this is what happens. Whoever we are, even as Christians, if we don't deal with the root of anger or bitterness, the Bible says it will cause us trouble and it will defile us.
Yes.
So how we remember is just as important as that we remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
How we remember is as important as the fact that we do remember.
Yes.
And we've got to discipline ourselves to remember both with the desire for knowing truth and with the desire of overcoming enmity and creating a communion in love. And we have to do this.
Yeah.
And, if we don't learn to get on top of things, it gets on top of us.
Yeah.
And, this is the truth in every aspect of our life.
Yeah.
And like I've said before, hurting people hurt people.
Yep.
And if you're following a hurting people or hurting person right now, be careful.
Yes.
Because that hurting person will hurt you, and... it's just true. You ever been to the memorial in New York?
No.
I pray,
I haven't ever been to New York.
I pray that you'll do it.
Yeah, we have the intention of going for sure.
So, like, even for example, I only did it once in Tasmania, okay, down at the convict area, Port Arthur.
Yep.
And as much as people go there for Port Arthur, one of the more moving moments I've been there was that massacre that was done, killing people.
Wow.
Yes.
And the cafe burnt down, and they have a memory thing there.
Yeah.
And that becomes even more moving than some of the other stuff.
Yes.
Because it keeps reminding us of the injustices. And sometimes when we get stuck in the memory of the injustice, or we get stuck in the hurt or the anger, and it could be anything. It could be a divorce, a separation, whatever else, or a way in which we were raised that was incorrect. The more that we keep getting stuck in that area, one preacher heard say, it's like termites in a yo-yo. You just keep eating in this wooden yo-yo, and it's spinning round and round and round. It's a continuous cycle.
Yeah.
And so many of us, as they say, like termites in a yo-yo. We're getting spun and spun and spun, and we keep eating and eating and eating, going round and round, but we're not winning.
Yeah.
And you got to let go. Letting go doesn't mean that these persons have won. It was Barack Obama who proclaimed the victory when the special forces eradicated bin Laden.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that there's so many things that happened during this time which is just a tragedy. On American soil, it'd have to be one of the worst tragedies that's happened since Hawaii being bombed by the Japanese. And it's just a great tragedy. Really, really is a tragedy. But as an American, Erica, Americans are patriotic. I'm not saying Australians aren't patriotic, but we have nothing compared to America.
Yeah, nothing compared to America.
I mean, Ed, I'd love to take you to America where you go to a game or something.
Yeah, I want to see a football game.
I mean, I've done football, I've done basketball, I've done ice hockey.
Baseball, I want to see baseball.
I've been to baseball, you know what I mean? At the Astros, they got the train that goes around.
NASCAR, I want to see NASCAR.
I haven't done NASCAR.
I'd love to see NASCAR.
Well, out there, they're even more patriotic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Trump's biggest supporters are in
NASCAR.
Yeah. They love Trump. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that they're very patriotic.
Yes.
But even conservative Christians can become extreme in the area of patriotism. So, and it's a whole area. I mean, how did you find the difference between Australia and American patriotism?
Oh, yeah. It's like vastly different.
Like, what's the biggest difference you saw or experienced?
Well, it's more like, I don't even know if I've experienced a live national anthem here.
Well, okay, how about this? How about Australia Day versus Independence Day? How do you find the difference?
We don't have fireworks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, here they use it like for the purpose of a party. But in America, you're literally celebrating America. Like, it's like here it's like it's a public holiday and people get together, but there it's like you're together because of America.
So you're talking about Australia Day?
Yeah, I was like Australia Day.
Australia Day has become so controversial now.
That's true. Yeah, it has.
Where councils are no longer doing. By the way, congratulations, Erica, because you just got accepted as Australian citizen.
Yes, I did.
And
thank you.
So Australia Day used to be a big day for welcoming, but now there's. Oh no, we don't believe in it. We don't believe in Australia Day. Captain Cook. Well, Captain Cook didn't even land on that day.
Yeah.
Okay, so all these things are just crazy. Do we have July the 4th in Australia?
I don't think we have an equivalent of July the 4th. I don't think we have.
Really? I always thought July the 4th came before July the 5th.
Oh. Yeah.
I didn't say celebrate it. Sorry, buddy. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But the fact of the matter is that no, I think that I don't know if I said to you, what do you think is Australia's biggest public holiday, biggest holiday? What day would you pick, Ed?
Anzac Day. I mean, we're pretty passionate about Anzac Day.
I would pick Christmas and Easter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course.
Out of everything.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. In America, and I'm not an American, so I'm not qualified in the area. So I would almost say Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I was thinking Thanksgiving too.
For America. They don't have Christmas, but but there's always but Thanksgiving is nothing about gifts or presents in the area. It's about family.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
And having a meal together, and people will travel for miles, fly and everything else, there's cold, snow or whatever else, just to be together as family. And all they do is have a dinner and watch a football game in the afternoon.
Yeah, have a turkey.
and the bellies are so swelled by the thing there because we had Thanksgiving over there and we loved it. What would you think is the biggest day, public holiday or your holiday celebration in America?
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Super
It's
Bowl.
like I'm so far removed. I've been here for, 5 years now, plus 3. The context is not there anymore.
But I think that Thanksgiving is a major.
No, I'm with you.
Do you celebrate Thanksgiving here, Erica?
No, it's a lot of effort to host people and do like the whole meal. I don't have it in
When
me.
you first came here, did you kind of try and celebrate it?
Yeah, we tried. So one thing too is Andres' birthday is the 30th of November. So we usually do like a combined family, like, oh, we're thankful for you, but it's really Andres' birthday celebration. So I don't know.
And if you're going to do one food for American Thanksgiving, what food would it be?
Pumpkin pie.
No. So green bean casserole?
Green bean casserole.
Is like actually Andres' request.
Green bean
Is that right?
casserole.
Yes.
Green bean casserole. Do you make that?
Yes, I can make that. It's
Yeah.
very easy to make.
Okay. For me, it's pumpkin pie.
Yeah, pumpkin pie.
And the only reason why is I'd never heard of pumpkin pie until I was in America. And so and I can get pumpkin pie at Costco. They have it every time.
And it's good there.
Yeah. So I look at that area
Every
there.
time I've gone to Costco for pumpkin pie, it's never there.
Yeah,
You have to go
November.
seasonally.
November, December. That's what it is.
So the month of November, it's there.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving.
'Cause
It's
I-
the 4th Thursday in November.
The
Yes.
4th Thursday in November, I should go there.
Now,
then.
Canada has its own Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it does, eh?
It's in October.
Yes.
They just have to go before.
No, it's just the way it's always been. So I know it's turkey and all that stuff here, but I always remember it was there.
Pumpkin pie.
I do want to make a serious comment very
Yes.
fast to digress. I do think that Americans need to be careful because I do think that that nationalism can err on the side of people I making an idol out of the country of United States above Christ.
Yeah.
And that's where, and when they idolize in the name of Christ, but the country is more important than Christ, that's a really scary place to be.
Yes.
When you combine the politics and our faith together, it can ostracize and do things.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
areas. So the big word in America is, "Are you a patriot?"
Yeah, you patriot.
Over here, it's like, huh?
Yeah, patriot, what?
But that's a big word.
Yeah.
And I highly value my country and respect my country.
So do I.
and the people who fight for my
I
country.
love your country, and
So-
we honor all those
Yeah.
who have given their lives.
Totally.
And let's be honest, it was America's friendship with Australia, World War II. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it wasn't for America's friendship, and I know there's people who knock America, well, that's their problem.
Yeah.
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 But England didn't come for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had too many friends. It was America,
America,
and
yeah.
Pacific,
It's
and that's
true.
when it came
It's
in.
true.
So
Yeah.
they came here, and many of their lives were given.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, there's nothing perfect. There's nothing beautiful in war. You know,
Yeah.
and Australia ever since then has felt obligated. Sometimes I wish maybe they hadn't.
Yeah.
You know, but they've done that. So, it all comes through. So,
Yeah.
there's a good friendship there. So we do honor and respect that.
Yes.
And my son was born in America. So,
Yeah, yeah.
So we share the area there. I always remember Josiah was in grade 2 or grade 1, and the teacher called me. I went to pick him up.
Yep.
And said, Mr. Hanson, you need to talk to your son, Josiah. He lies.
Mm?
I go, oh. I said, yeah, I definitely will. I said, I don't want him lying. I said, it's a bit unusual. He's not very honest.
Yeah.
I said, what's the context? What did he do? He said, he told everybody he's an American.
Oh.
And we said, he's not American. I said, did you say that publicly in class? Oh, yeah, I told him. I said, well, then you need to do the right thing and publicly in class apologize to him.
Yes.
He goes, well, what for? I said, he is an American.
Yeah.
He has an American passport, American citizen.
Yeah.
So I said, you need to publicly now apologize.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Silly teacher.
What's the issue?
What are these teachers, eh? You got to have this like big head mentality.
No,
eh?
good teachers. My daughter-in-law is a teacher, so please.
Not all
don't say
teachers,
that.
all right? Not all
Yeah,
teachers.
But I mean, I'm just saying it was just one of those areas that come in. Well, this Sunday, I'm preaching the word.
You are. Correct.
Yes, and I am looking forward to sharing. This is the last.
This is the last.
This is the last message in the series.
Wow.
on how to fight like Jesus.
The fight like Jesus. And normally when I finish too, I'm always thinking about
The next one. Next
No,
year.
it's my second last.
Oh, this is second
This is number
last.
8.
Okay.
It's called the crucifixion.
Okay, so this is Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. He
That's
died on the
Friday.
Friday.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Friday. So this one, the Friday, Saturday. Yep. So it's the crucifixion.
Yep.
And I want to talk about that area from my own different view in the perspective. So
Yes.
I pray that it'll go over well. And then in the evening, Josiah is sharing the word,
Yes.
which is good.
What is this title? I don't know.
Is it in the app yet?
I haven't even got the email yet.
Oh, okay. But you got mine.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So it comes in. We had a great markets last week.
Yes.
Woo. Man, that was
Huge. That was huge.
Yeah, well, so far the big one was Easter and this one, wasn't it? So it was a huge turnout. I know that in that little idea of that Greek meat that Sand and I had going in the area, it's just exploded. Josiah took ownership of it, but those guys didn't stop.
Wow.
But same thing as the Dagwood dogs. And same as the Kranskis, they all went well. So this is really good. Are you trying to show a photo, or what are you trying to do?
for
big guy?
Erica. I got this. This is the
there.
photo you put up, Shaun.
Yeah.
Just a huge line.
That was 10 minutes before we opened up.
Yeah, it was huge.
And
There
the
was so
line went
many.
all the way back, and We also had the situation on the show bags and the pony rides.
So many people.
Yeah,
It was
and
huge.
petting zoo. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. I tell you, it's funny. Is we do a Bible tent.
Yeah.
And Hannah came to me just before it opened, or maybe it's just already open. She said, "Should I put up the Bible tent?" And I go, "Yeah, why wouldn't you?"
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
And we got a whole bunch of second and everything else. Well, the best we've ever done is one Bible's gone.
Yeah.
So I said, how'd it go? She said, I don't have a Bible left. Everything went. Everything went.
Wow.
Every Bible, every area went.
Great.
And we got to stock up on them. So if you got
need to know
secondhand
that.
Bibles or Bibles you'd like to give us, we'd love to have them. But I mean, yeah, every Bible went out to the community. Can you believe that?
So good.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that had to be a highlight.
Yeah.
But there's a great camaraderie and fellowship. Sure, there's pressures, but there's so much great stuff happening, which is really good. The next one is going to be Father's Day.
Which, look, we have a flyer here.
We have a flyer, a Father's Day
We have a
flyer.
flyer.
Can we see
It
it
has been
there?
sitting here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
It's gone. So the Father's Day one. And we got some great prizes, monetary prizes, and over $2,000 to give away. So it's going to be a big one there.
And a dunk tank, right?
I have a dunk tank. We all know who's going to get caught into that. Okay. Yeah, me. But what we are doing is that we're giving away a $600 Visa gift card.
Ooh.
Now, it won't go to anybody like me. No staff can get it.
Yeah.
But what happens is that any father wants to go in, it's $5. They get 5 balls to give away to their family, anything else to throw.
Yes.
And then straight away, their name goes into a barrel to be pulled out.
Yeah, for a draw. Yeah.
And but no staff in there.
No staff.
I'll go up there just purely because I'm going to get hammered.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go buy a wetsuit.
Maybe there should almost be an auction to be able to dunk Shaun. It's those 5 balls.
You can
There should be an
spend
auction.
$5 and get the 5 balls.
Dunk the senior pastor.
Yeah, whatever. So, but we'll go have fun there. But it'll be a good time. Plus, we're doing a father's 3-legged race, so the father can have their kid.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
I reckon I'll win that because I'll put Josiah with me as my kid.
Hey, isn't that cheating?
And so we're doing a $200 prize on that one.
Oh, wow.
A cash one there. And we're also doing the old pass the rugby league ball through the hoops. $200 there. Plus, we've got $1,000 of tools and things.
Nice.
So it'll be good and all the food. So it should be a good time.
Yeah.
So so the good market. I enjoyed it. It was went over really well and thoroughly enjoyable. So it was good. And we had a good men's breakfast too. A big crowd came up there. So that was on the Saturday. Yeah. First time we've ever not been able to go out for seconds or anything else. So wow. So
sign up for the next one. Make sure you sign up.
Yeah, so it was really good. So I enjoyed it. I had a good weekend.
Yeah, it was really good.
Very good weekend. And
awesome.
I'm just so fortunate in the church. We have such a, the market is a good community feeling, isn't it? I mean, like you're running around. I know you're running around. We're doing stuff, but there's a good feel there, and I enjoy it. And the reports I get online of people saying how much they love certain things and family. And I met so many people who've never been to the markets before. Got to talk to them, and he said, what is it? Well, it's the church turned inside out.
Yeah.
So rather than the people coming into the church, we're taking the church inside out to the people.
Yeah.
And the people, I mean, there's hundreds, thousands came in that area, and it's just dynamic.
Yeah.
I look forward to our big Christmas one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's getting closer for stone fruit now, mangoes.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing them creeping in. Do you like mangoes?
No.
I can't believe you don't like mangoes. Erica, do you like mangoes?
I do, but I don't like how they get stuck in your teeth.
Okay, on this note, thank you so much for joining us today. We love you. And I got to ask this question that's profound. How far will a man go for a mango?
5?
God bless you.